Sanje judo zuwe ju namlo janju badu dani yabzu shi dagay shin so jebe so namje dola benjir sanje dubare shu Sanje judo zuwe ju namlo janju badu dani yabzu shi dagay shin so jebe so namje dola benjir sanje dubare shu Sanje judo zuwe ju namlo janju badu dani yabzu shi Dāgāi jīnsō jebē sō nām jē, dōlā bēnjir sāng jē rūpa rē shū. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam vati mahashramanaye svaha Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam vati mahashramanaye svaha Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha Evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation causes as well is taught by the Gracia. Deyata om gate gate paragate Parasam gate bodhisvatyata Om gate gate paragate Parasam gate bodhisvatyata Om gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Okay, 8 verses for training the mind by Geshe Damdul. We're done with the first 2 verses. Next, the 3rd verse. In all my deeds may be probing of my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, as I may strongly confront them and avert them. Yes, finally, what we seek, the happiness and to get rid of miseries, is all related to the mind, and we will realize that finally, whatever experiences that one goes through, be it happiness, unhappiness, sadness, or agitation. So somehow they are all related to your own thinking. That's for sure. And of course, external factors are there. For example, yesterday, for the teaching organized by Sharadeva Center in New York, so this online teaching, one person asked as to what about the Tibet situation and today the Ukraine situation and then everywhere in the world.
So yes, external factors are there. External factors are there. It is not to deny the external factors responsible for your problems. But we have to keep in mind that it's like the sound of a clap. Okay, let us all be more active. Pull your hands, two hands out. Pull your two hands out and see what I'm doing and do that. Okay, that's very simple. Two hands coming into being and the sound erupted. So this sound is the metaphor for any agitation, any lack of peace in the mind. Say for example, in the winter, for no reason, in the Scandinavian countries, in Europe, in winter, we feel low for no reason. Not only in Scandinavian and in Europe, even in other places as well. Particularly when I was younger, I remember I must be age 16, 17. In the daytime, in school, I slept, and then suddenly for no reason, I felt as well the whole world, whole existence is so meaningless and very sad. And I got up, and then gradually it disappears. It's all related to your mind, related to your physiology, and then related to your biology, and then related to the physical world. So this is all connected. So in other words, just a sound of clap is the result of the two hands. The two hands symbolizing the one external factors, and the other hand symbolizing internal factors. See, these two factors come together, invariably the result in the form of the sad experiences, pains, they arise. This is for sure. So some people, when they come into Buddhism, and then they think that they're going to be a totally different person. So they say, oh, everything is good, everyone is good, it's me, everyone's good. That's not the reality. So in other words, if you don't touch the reality, you will never progress in your spiritual path. You will just live in the world of fantasy, and eventually you will be shocked to see the reality very differently. So we have to accept the reality that external factors are there. For example, the Ukraine war, the Putin just sending the soldiers to Ukraine just for no reason and very selfishly. Likewise, everywhere in the world, we see how one person bullied the other person, one country bullying the other country. This is everywhere happening in the world. These are the realities that we have to accept. COVID-19. But the COVID-19 is that everybody's living in fear. This is the reality we have to accept. Except doesn't mean that, okay, you just surrender. This is not a connotation. Oh, these realities are there, external factors are there. So one hand is created. If there's no internal factor, external factor is there, but no sound. It doesn't mean the external factor is not there. External factor is there, but the sound can be stopped by removing your internal factor. So this is the point. Dharma is to not to see the external factors are non-existent. Whole world is beautiful. No, that's not the reality. Dharma is to know the reality as it is, and that your agitation should subside. Your peace of mind should be restored. Your happiness should grow. So this is the whole purpose of the Dharma. Don't neglect the reality that external factors are there. So external factors and the internal factors coming together, invariably the miseries arise. So in short, what I'm saying is that all experiences of agitation within us, within you, within me, any agitation should necessarily be because of two things: external factors, internal factors. And the internal factors, nobody is to be blamed. Your self-centered attitude and the self-grasping ignorance, these are to be blamed. That's for sure. If these two are not there, external factors, however strong, no sound. Sound of the misery stops. So, the Buddha appeared, Jesus Christ appeared, Ram appeared, Prophet Muhammad, Guru Nanak, Baha'u'llah, Zoroaster, All these great, and Mahavir, all these great teachers appeared, but they could not remove the external factors. They came here not to remove the external factors, but to help us remove the internal factors. Meanwhile, it doesn't mean that don't pay heed to the external factors. Just focus on the mind. Just focus on the internal factors. There's not a connotation. Try your best to get away from the external factors. Where COVID-19 is there, make sure that you put on the mask in crowd. Make sure that you do the hand sanitization. All these things you take utmost care. Likewise, say in some places, I don't know. What about the safety of the nights in France, in Paris? Safe? So. Depends on the area. So there are areas where the neighborhood, the places are not good, very risky. Don't think that, I went to Kalachakra, I learned that is internal factor. No, this is very unwise. We have to know the reality. Where external factors there, you have to know the external factors there. Very scared. Try to stay away from the external factors to the best you can. This is so important. Meanwhile, don't expect that by removing the external factors of the two hands, external factor, remove it, and then internal factor, right? I don't work inside, just remove the external factors, then the sound of the clamp stops. Yes, we can imagine that, but it never happens. How? Because the external factors, you cannot remove them altogether. External factors, how many such external factors are there? The innumerable are there. Innumerable external factors are there. But it doesn't mean that you don't work to get rid of the external factors. Try your best to stay away from external factors to the best you can. But there are times, even though you try your best, still problems do happen. Because external factors, you cannot, number one, you cannot get rid of them completely, and even what we call as the conducive factors, even they can become external factors. Okay, usually one example that I give is that if you have no house, you're on rent, you always wish you have a house. When you have a house, you always wish that people who don't have a house, they're very lucky. They don't have to worry about maintenance. They don't have to worry about paying and then you don't really have to worry about that this was, if it is on fire or whatever. But people on rent, they don't really have to worry. It's not their house. And then if you have a big house, and people who have small house, they wish they have the big house. People who have the big house, they admire the small house. Big house, they have to maintain it. It's so expensive. And you have to hire the people. And when the people are hired, the workers, helpers, and so forth, and oftentimes I meet with these people who run big houses. They complain about the problem of the helpers. Right? So as though like I made them to live in the made house, big house. Right? They complain. So, and likewise, when I say that, okay, I don't know, what about you? Most of you stay here. So here when you are by yourself, I'm very lonely. When you're with other people, I have no privacy. Yeah, this is what happens. So there's no choice. Either you have to live alone or you have to be with somebody. And this is your thinking, look, where are we going wrong? When you're by yourself, I'm lonely. Other people are so happy, look. And when you're with other people, I don't have privacy. So this is a problem. So what I'm saying is that external factors, you cannot get rid of the external factors completely. But be careful with external factors. Stay away from the bad external factors as much as you can. This is the meaning of Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. I go for refuge in the Sangha, which means that I will not go with bad companions. I will not go in the bad environment. I will try to be in the good environment, good companions. This is the meaning. Sangam Sharanam Gacchami. This is so important. Now finally, For example, you have good food today, but it's just temporary. And here, you have a good Sangha, the members, temporary. Again, you go back. Again, you have to face your reality. So but then the wise person will think of lasting. So where, say, I have to eat food. If I don't eat food, there's hunger there. The pain of hunger is so acute. Pain of thirst is so acute. And the wise people, even I'm sure some of you might have thought about it when you were small children, that will there be a time when I don't have to eat any food? Right? Even eating food is also a problem. So will there be a time where I don't really have to worry about my heat, cold, whatever, heat wave, right? That I'll be free from all the factors. Some of you might have thought about it when you were small children. These things can happen. So there, the people who can think about the lasting, durable, the benefits, these are wise. Rather than think of the immediate, say, big house, big heart. Okay, number one, to have big house, to have big cars, to have a lot of money in the bank. This is not against Buddhism. Keep this in mind. Some people, they have a very naive idea. Oh, Buddhism, look at this person, he has a BMW, Rolls Royce, and saying that he's a Buddhist. What is this? No, there's no contradiction. You can be the richest person, can still follow the Buddha. There's nothing wrong in it. So some people are so naive in thinking this. Oh, look, going for a party, having good food, and going to first-star hotel and claiming that he's a Buddhist, she's a Buddhist. This is total naivety. And Buddhism means you have to be in a very shallow, very shabby dress, dirty dress. And earlier you look so nice, the girls, boys, they are so nice, very smart. And then coming to Buddhism, you even remove all your earrings, all gone, and very shabby, and you cook food in the kitchen, your hands dirty, then you use your clothes like this. And they think this is Buddhism. This is totally naive. There's no contradiction to have good food, to have good house. Particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama is so practical. Lead your life very clean and be very successful. If you're a businessman, be a very successful businessman. Don't cheat others. Don't exploit others. But be very successful businessman to tell the world that yes, this is my wealth. I made it through my clean means. And all the employees, they're happy with me. Let them feel so proud of you, proud of your business. And then people say, okay, what is this? He's following Buddhism, she's following Buddhism, and still very rich. Well, we can also become one like that. So, another thing I tell people is that while I encourage people to be vegetarian, I don't force anybody to be vegetarian, but I encourage people. I don't persuade also. I encourage people to be vegetarian. I rejoice in people becoming vegetarian. So when I tell, when somebody becomes a vegetarian, I always tell people that please don't neglect your food. Become vegetarian. Okay, now what is this food? It's like eating grass. No meat. It's like eating grass. So, okay, I just eat something. And then you don't pay heed to your food. And then you become sick. You become hospitalized. You become so weak and hospitalized. And people will say, don't become Buddhist. Look at that lady. Look at that man. But before becoming Buddhist, don't become vegetarian. Don't become vegetarian. Look, that person, before that, this is a picture. Look, so smart, so beautiful. Now look, hospitalized. Don't become vegetarian. This is what many people dissuade others from becoming vegetarian because of your bad example. So I tell people that when you become vegetarian, make sure that don't neglect your food. And particularly, become vegetarian, the B12 is less likely that you get it. In which case you must take B12 supplements. B12 supplements, and then of course if you keep taking it, it may be accessed in your body, again it is a problem. So once in a while you have to have a checkup, blood test to see if B12 is at the right parameter, or it crossed, it is too much. Taking the B12 supplements every day, there's no danger that it will go down, but it may reach a point where you may exceed. So once in a while, in a year, you have a blood test to check if the B12 the parameter is good. Okay, so these are things that we need to keep in mind. With this, in short, what I'm saying, we must get a conviction that all my problems somehow, say for example, I feel a little unhappy, or I feel a little low, or feel a little agitated. There are two factors. External factors might be there, but internal factors, self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance, these two things are there. This is what we must ignore. We must get conviction in. We must get conviction. Once you get a conviction in this, then whenever there's a problem, the external factors, of course, they are there. You can just make sure that stay away from the external factors to the best you can. But the internal factors, the blame must go to the internal factors. The blame should not go to the self. Blame should go to self-centered attitude. This is so important. Make distinction between the self and the self-centered attitude. Always maintain a self-confidence. Suppress your ego. Ego and self-confidence, these are very different. Ego destroys you. Self-confidence builds you. So let us not have the mix of the two, and make sure that through the practice of 8 verse mind training, we boost our self-confidence and suppress our ego. This is very important. Okay, with this mind, number 3, the verse number 3, it says, "In all my deeds may I probe into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them." So from what we said thus far is that all the problems, I don't want the problems, these problems are the threats to you, and these threats are simply attracted by the external factors, internal factors, both, but you can really do is the internal factors. Internal factors is purely in your hand. You want to get rid of them or you want to encourage them. It's entirely in your hand. So what are internal factors? If you look at inside, you see that self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, these two are there. And then these two come together, then the inappropriate attention, the gross afflictions, let's say attachment, anger, all these afflictions arise, and the negative karmas arise, giving us to miseries. So we should be watchful of the internal factors. So this is what is said here. In all my deeds, in whatever what I do, may I probe into my mind, just observe my mind, just keep constantly observe your mind. And one of the greatest Dharma practice would be to observe your mind, to observe one's mind. Whenever you talk to somebody, whenever you are unhappy, sad, or when you feel a little inflated, that, oh, I'm somebody. So whatever mental state, just learn how to observe the mind and see how the mind behaves, and see whether it is self-confidence or whether it's the ego. So this is what we have to observe, and on that basis, if you learn how to observe the mind so well, you will begin to see what's in your mind, what kind of the afflictions, emotions which belong to the afflictions arise. And when the compassion arises, what is that line? You can see so beautifully. So let us learn how to observe a mind under any situation. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind. Probe into my mind means observe my mind. And as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise. Okay, so Cholam kundu rangula tojin yumon kemata rangula. So so here, as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, this is the translator's simply elaboration, and in the Tibetan, just the afflictions. And as soon as afflictions arise, as they endanger myself, these afflictions, attachment, anger, jealousy, and the ignorance, when they arise, these are the ones which create disturbance within me and eventually put me into the fires of the hell, eventually put me into the ocean where everybody has to live in fear. Do you agree with me? That in the ocean, every creature has to live in fear. Do you agree with me? Yes. In the forest, every creature has to live in fear. Do you agree with me? Even the most powerful lion, even the most powerful leopard has to live in fear. Anytime he or she can be alone. When alone, all those smaller animals, but they come in, these huge numbers. You can kill 2 or 3, but the huge number will eventually kill you. They all have to live in fear. And even the very strong lions, when they grow older, they are eaten by somebody else. At one point, they are like king of the whole forest. Over time, then they become old, and others, they eat him up. He cannot do anything. She cannot do anything. Just roar, and then others start eating. So what throws us there to take birth like this is all because of those afflictions. Of course, actions, karmas. What drives us into these karmas? For example, they say that what you will see is my karma. My karma meaning my action. From there you could see what's going in my mind. Okay, let's see. What do you think is going in my mind? What do you infer? Mary will know it so well. What do you infer? What's going in my mind? Yes, that the desire for water. You can see that. Although visibly you cannot see that, through actions you can see what's going in my mind. So this, what's the relation between this, what I'm doing, the physical, this, and wanting water? How these two are connected? Because what is inside your mind, that makes the body to move. That makes the body to move. So what's inside is the motivation, the afflictions, or the compassion. That makes you to move. Right? When you meet somebody, right? Somebody, and then you just look at like this, right? Or you look with, just see the person, and you can see the person suffering, and then you just feel that I'm there for you. Why should I have to fear? Why should I have to worry? I'm there. Why? I'm there for you. Right? Just by your, the facial expression, the other person will go into tears. They will feel your love. So it's just a physical appearance that will tell you what's going inside. So with this, and the karmas are decided by, they are driven by the negative karmas are driven by your afflictions. Even the contaminated positive karmas, they are driven by the subtle afflictions, self-grasping ignorance. Even the positive karmas. Positive karma meaning contaminated positive karmas. So whereas the negative karmas, 100%, they are driven by the gross afflictions. For example, like craving, like fighting with other people. You fight with other people, you find where the anger is there, finish. No excuse. That is the mistake of the other person. Yes, conventionally, it may be the mistake of the other person. But the fact that you feel agitated, so there, your ignorance is acting on you. So therefore, the thing is that when these afflictions arise, only when you are aware, you observe your mind, then you will start to see what's going in your mind, the afflictions. You see that. And afflictions are the ones which destroy us. And for one time, when I was very young, I might be age 19 or 20, in the monastery. Then I went to my teacher, Venerable Ginam Rinpoche, who was a lifelong retreatant, the hermit. And then as a very young, naive boy, I said, oh, Dharma means, in the practice of the Dharma, you must have to go through physical hardships. I mentioned this to Rinpoche. Rinpoche said that, okay, yeah, but the most difficult thing for us to do is to combat our afflictions. This is what he said. No, then look at this naive boy, me as a young boy, naive boy. I thought, what is affliction? Affliction is just purely mental. This you can control very easily. But physical hardship is very difficult. Going through hunger, just remaining hungry for a few days, or remaining thirsty for a few days, and then making prostrations. And then particularly prostrations with, say in the winter, with terrible cold, and with a bare hand making prostrations, and so forth. These are difficult. And Rinpoche said, no, compared to affliction is difficult. And then later on, His Holiness shared the one anecdote of a teacher, a practitioner, who said that he was in the prison, in the Chinese prison, for so many years. And then he reported this to His Holiness later on when he escaped from the prison. He said that to conquer the afflictions is more difficult than staying in the Chinese prison. How the afflictions, they torture you. How the afflictions, they bully you. Your own afflictions bully you is much, much more difficult than to experience the bullies of the prison guards in Chinese prison. In other words, to manage your afflictions is much more difficult. This is what is being indicated. So it says here, in all my deeds, in whatever you do, virtuous or non-virtuous or neutral, whatever, any action that you may do, when you do that, I probe into my mind, I observe my mind. And when observing my mind, as soon as mental and the emotional afflictions arise, in short, when afflictions arise, like attachment, anger, jealousy, and so when they arise, just observe it and stop them as soon as possible. Because these are the things, they make you to engage in a destructive way. Negative karma. And negative karmas invariably throw you into more miseries. As they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront them and avert them. May I stop them. May I stop these afflictions altogether. This is so important. So, we are samsaric beings. We have so much rich tendencies of the afflictions, attachment, anger, jealousy. Even in the morning, for example, let's say after this class, like yesterday, after 5 sessions, right? So, when the last session, I was not really aware what I was saying. Okay, something is coming out. Okay, yeah. And the class also finished very quickly. Usually, if the class is for 1.5 hours, it extends to 2 hours. If the class is for 2 hours, it extends to 2.5 hours. Yesterday, the class finished very early. Yeah. So okay. I don't know why I said this. Okay. Okay, so what I'm saying is that we are so rich in the tendencies of the afflictions. For say yes, that not only me, all of us, say after a long hour of class, and then you go to have a cup of tea, right? This is what you relish this cup of tea, right? You enjoy it, but after long hours of class, to have a cup of tea is very refreshing. Yes, and you just feel relaxing, go around go around the small lake, and sit by yourself, right? Okay, so there, just observe. What I'm doing, is this dharma or non-dharma? Just observe it. You're getting it? Oh, okay, now I'm so happy. When you say I'm so happy, is the attachment coming or not coming? Just observe it. Observe it. This is so important. Conventionally, there's nothing wrong with it. This is so beautiful. But you should observe it. Observe your mind and see that whether it is attachment or not. If somebody says that, hey, Venerable Ganzen, come. right? Are you ready to go there? Or you will feel that, why are you disturbing my peace? You are attached to the peace. Okay, this is how you have to observe your mind so well. And observe it, first you see the very gross ones. And then you will start to see the subtler, and subtler. It's so beautiful. With this, when the agitations arise, when sadness arises, when any kind of, say, the uneasiness comes to you, you can instantly see, okay, the self-grasping ignorance has come, self-centered attitude has come. Of course, for the self-grasping ignorance, you have to have some realization of emptiness. Without realizing emptiness, without understanding emptiness, to identify the self-grasping ignorance as they come to you, it's difficult to identify. Whereas self-centered attitude is relatively easier. It doesn't require the understanding of emptiness. You could feel it if you learn how to observe your mind well. Okay. Number 4, when I see beings of unpleasant character. So now the thing is that how these negative emotions will arise within you, afflictions will arise within you. Usually, okay, say, okay, which will hurt you more? Say, say, a dog comes to bark at you from distance, or not coming to you, say from distance, just barking at you, or a person saying, "You're a stupid guy." Which will make you more angry? A person telling you, "You're a stupid guy." It'll make you more angry. And then, which will make you more angry? A small 3 years old saying that you're a stupid guy, and a 25 years old, or 30 years old, or 50 years old saying that you are a stupid guy. Which makes you more angry? Of course, the elder one, right? So we see that oftentimes, almost like if not 80%, 70% of our afflictions are related to the human beings. 70%. So, what triggers our afflictions? Like 70%, majority are triggered by the other human beings. Other human beings, like what? When when somebody is very jealous towards you, or somebody is unhappy with you, or let's say that you want things so clean, tidy, and your neighbor throws garbage, not necessarily to your place, but garbage next to their place, and then your border, the border between your place and other place, the person puts all the clothes, dirty clothes and everything there, and then it makes your place dirty. Although the person not throwing garbage next to your door, you feel so unhappy with that. Okay, so the triggers of your emotions, how to manage with the triggers. Okay, next. When I see beings of unpleasant character, somebody who is very nasty, uncultured, very rude, and those oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, and I say that okay, sometimes so this way we should be a little careful. I say when you meet with your mom, your dad, children, their parents' children is much better. Children to his parents, this is worse. That your parents are going through very difficult times, and then you have you're young, so you have so much there's so much in your mind. I like to do this, I want to go for adventure and so forth. You cannot go for adventure because you're bound by the parents. Your parents are there who are terribly sick, who need your help, and then you and your parents, they don't go along too well. And then we just feel that, okay, what a burden for me. These things can happen. We should be very careful. So finally, what's a real burden? Real burden is a self-centered attitude. That is a real burden. When burden means that you are not able to do what you like, that you are not able to enjoy. What makes you not enjoy anything is a self-centered attitude. This is a real burden, not your parents, not somebody else. So this is what we need to keep in mind. So when I see beings of unpleasant character and those oppressed by strong negativities and suffering, when you see, for example, so when you see people who are suffering, okay, you may feel empathetic. You may feel. And when you see the same person coming over and over again, yes, the person has a problem every day, right? So it can come to you every day. And then you feel, okay, then you start to feel that is a burden. This is one thing. And likewise, for example, let's say that sometimes when we become, this is what I strongly feel, that, okay, let's say Ukraine situation or anywhere where one country is bullying another country, and then the people had to flee the country. So and the Tibetans, like more than 100 self-immolation cases. So yes, on the one hand, I really empathize with the people of the world. Of course, some people, they don't really care, but the people who do care, who have the pain, who feel the pain, when they hear that the first case, they feel empathetic, second case, third, it keeps increasing, and then, oh, they should not have done this, right? So this is what comes to it. And then, in some cases, some people, they feel, some people, outside people, they feel so helpless themselves, and then they cannot do anything, and at times, they go to the extent of blaming the people who commit the self-immolation. So this is what is extremely sad, particularly is harmful in practice. So it doesn't matter. Samsara continues, and your job is to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. All sentient beings mean as long as samsara lasts, I'm there to help. This should be the courage. And even though you cannot do anything, for example, the Ukraine war, even though you cannot do anything, at least speak out, right? When the conversation hovers around this, don't remain, okay, yeah, this topic. Instead of that, just speak out. Although it doesn't make any difference, it doesn't matter. Speak out, so that you are ready when the opportunity is there, you are ready to stop the war. So this will come to you when you have to increase this courage to speak for the truth, to speak for the less privileged people. This is so important, particularly for the Bodhisattva path. It doesn't mean that you should become activists, right? So, okay, there's this Russian there, we have to create problem to this Russian. No, why should you create problem to the Russians? It's a system. It's the person who is misguiding all the other people. And even many Russians are against this war. It's not. So this is where we are very childish. Simply because the Putin has created a problem to the Ukraine, so that you become angry with all the Russians. This is totally wrong. Likewise, His Holiness the Dalai makes it very clear that we should not harbor a sense of anger towards the Chinese. It's the system is wrong. CCP system is wrong. And because there's some people who are getting the opportunity, the privilege to be at the top, they are misusing the system. Otherwise, the common people, they don't know. Many of them, they even don't know the reality. Okay, so in other words, we need to cultivate the courage to speak. Even though you cannot do anything, it doesn't matter. At least you show your disapproval to this war. This is so important. Yeah. Okay. When I see beings of unpleasant character and those oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may I hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I've discovered the jewel treasure. This is related to particularly in the context of the practice of equalizing and exchange of self for others. We talk about the special recollection of the kindness of others. A special recollection of the kindness of others. This is the number 7. Step number 7, special recollection of kindness of others. So there, when you see that the beings who are particularly, say, the negative in their thinking and very rude and so forth, so these are what we call as the difficult people or the enemies. And if you actually practice the bodhicitta, we see that we have to eventually become Buddha. To become Buddha, we have to get rid of the subtlest of the self-centered attitude. And the subtlest self-centered can be eradicated only by, first of all, identifying this. We have to identify this. To identify this is so difficult. Only the difficult people can help you. So these people are so rare. In your life, tell me, in your life, for example, in 1 year, 365 days, generally speaking, 365 days. So is there anybody who meets with very complicated issues, complicated people, very nasty people, like 365 means 200 days. 200 days a year. Okay. 200 days in a year, and then 200 days in a year, and then within the one single day, say 24 hours, more than 12 hours. More than 12 hours meeting with the bad people. More than 12 hours a day. And that too more than 200 days a year. So less. In most cases, if you are a prisoner, and the prison guard is terrible, then that's true. Most of the time, you meet with the nasty people. But in generally speaking, for us, to be very honest, let us not be negative all the time. Let us be positive also. It means to be very objective. To be very objective and see in 365 days how many times I met with the really nasty people, difficult people. This is one thing. Then in one day, 24 hours. In 24 hours, how much time I spend with the nasty person. Right? The moment you see somebody who's nasty, you cannot really stand for more than, let's say, 1 hour you sit with a nasty person, you cannot stand. You run away somehow. In 24 hours, most likely you will be with the nasty person. At all, if at all. For long, not more than 1 hour, 2 hours. 22 hours you are by yourself. Right? So the opportunity for meet these people is very less. And these people, if you can tackle it nicely, these people can serve as a factor for you to achieve your infinite happiness, Buddhahood. So they're so rare. So how do you treat what is rare? Huh? Very precious. So they say, where do you keep these pens? In the treasure box? In the safe? No? Jewelries? Outside or in the treasure box? In the safe, right? To keep it, because that is more precious than this pen. So pen is, you just keep it outside there. Anybody takes? No, don't take it. If it takes, okay. Jewelries, no. If you go into the safe, nobody should see that. Right? It was so precious. So these people are so precious because they have the capacity to take you to Buddhahood, more precious than the jewelries. So they are so bright. And it's not just a story. You can really feel it if you start practicing it. So, may I hold them dear, as they are rare to find, as if I've discovered a jewel treasure. Okay, next. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. So they... so finally, they help us to identify your subtle self-centered, self-grasping ignorance. They help us to identify that. So once having identified that, your job is to remove them. How to remove them? In fact, one of my friends, just recently, in England, in London, he was from Hong Kong, and when he was younger, he is a 100-kilometer trail runner. 100-kilometer trail runner. He said that it takes about like 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days. And I said that, how come they're able to do that? And he's not at all into this dharma. Not at all. And he said that you have to practice it. You have to practice every day. You have to practice every day. This is what he said. You have to practice it. Whole year you have to practice. Whole year you have to practice. And that too, he said that if, for some reasons, if you cannot do that, minimum 4 days a week, and that too consistently, you practice it, only then you can take part in this, the run. 100 kilometers trail run. Okay, so then it's through practice. So we have to put into action. Say, when I identify, now my negative thoughts are coming towards this nasty person. When I identify that, then you have to put to practice how to mitigate this, how to weaken the power of this. It's by actually put into action. What kind of action? Number 5. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander and scorn, when actually somebody abuses you with these, then what should you do? You have already identified that yes, anger is arising, that my ego is hurt. So may I take upon myself the defeat? Okay, let others say this. Okay, take the defeat, meaning that remain silent. Don't react. Don't give into anger. Don't surrender to anger. Just remain calm, peaceful, yet confident. Oftentimes, this is a question which comes to his holiness so many times, and also that the people ask this question oftentimes as to, so when you become compassionate, should you surrender? Do you mean to say that you have to surrender? His holiness says, no. Not surrender. And many people, they come to me also to ask this question, and then how should we deal with this? So usually what I say is that there are 2 things. Finally, all these, what is taught here is to help us and teach us not to give into anger. When you react out of anger. Don't react. Don't surrender to anger. So he says, may I take upon myself the defeat, meaning that, okay, so now this person is, abusing me. Then what's your reaction? Anger. So when you take the defeat here, it simply means that otherwise in normal situation, you fight back. If you don't fight back, this is known as that you surrender. This is like accepting defeat. So literally, superficially it is said as defeat, but internally it is defeating your anger. You defeat your anger. That anger is subsided. Okay. And offer to others the victory. And small things. For example, the aeroplane lands and everybody gets up, right? You may be in the front, somebody cuts you, let them cut you. Give them let them be the victory. And you accept this defeat, you stay later, right? So in these small things, from there you will see how your mind works. So when we are not in airplane, when I say this, you will fully agree with me. Yes, those people who cut, or when somebody cuts like this, you see that these are very childish. But when you are in the aeroplane, it's going to be very different. You must check that. When you are in the aeroplane, right? Okay, first the bell rings, ding, then everybody gets up. Everybody gets up. No. I came from Kalachakra. Okay. So let others pick the victors. Let others have the victory. Let me take the defeat. And your robe, somebody cuts you. Okay, fine. Right. And then, so the only few people left, right? Okay, now it's too much, right? Now you get up. And the person also is hurry. God, and this, look at this like this, and then you remember Kalachakra, right? Kalachakra. Okay, should I really stay last? Okay, look at this, observe this, see how the mind works. It's very tricky how the mind works. It doesn't mean that you have to always stay last. There's not a connotation. It doesn't matter you have to stay all. Be very practical. Sometimes, particularly when you are going, particularly when you are with a visa, you go to other countries. And then at the immigration, if you go faster, it's quicker. Otherwise, you have to wait for hours and hours. Last time in London, I have to wait for like 3 hours in the immigration. Wait, 3 hours. Everybody was standing there. Okay, we should be very practical. Okay. Number 6. When someone whom I've helped or in whom I've placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard them still as my precious teacher. Okay, these are the scenarios that this great teacher brings up, which is very helpful to us. Okay, who would make you more angry? Now look, the more angry meaning that your self-centered attitude is just brought to the surface. Which of the two situations will bring your anger more on the surface, more intense anger? Somebody who is an unknown person and who said that, hey, be watchful, be careful, you are a nasty person. And somebody who you have been helping all the time, for whom you have been supporting all the time, and this person suddenly said that, yes, be very careful, you are a very nasty, complicated person. Who do you think will make you more angry? The first unknown person or the second one? Second one. You're getting it? So, if from what we have learned thus far, that anybody who has the capacity to trigger more anger within us, that is the person who is able to help us identify the subtler levels of self-centered attitude. Whoever helps us identify the subtler levels of self-centered attitude, then you see that, oh, my disease, my illness is deep inside. Very subtle illness is there. You can remove this illness. This is how we become Buddha. This is the only way by which we become Buddha. In other words, the more the nasty the person, more the person has the capacity to help you identify your subtle mental disease of self-centered attitude. The more that person helps you, the more likelihood that you can get rid of this to become Buddha. Closer you become, you turn towards the Buddhahood. Okay, so what do you mean by teacher? Teacher means somebody who is to identify, who is to teach you that this is not correct, this is correct. This means the teacher. So somebody who teaches you how to go to Buddhahood by removing your self-centered attitude, by identifying the self-centered attitude, whosoever helps you in that direction, that is the best of the teacher. What's the best of teacher? Best of teacher is a teacher who helps you, who teaches you the happiness which is most precious to you. That's the best of teacher. What is the best of the happiness? Buddhahood. So who is that person who teaches you that? That's the most difficult person. Who is that? The person who you know, to whom you have been so kind, and yet reciprocates with so much harm, the anger, scorn, and so forth. These persons have special power to help you identify your self-centered attitude. Okay, number 6. When someone whom I've helped or in whom I've placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard them still as my precious teacher. Yes, we should be very careful. So this from the point of view, somebody else who you have helped, and that person in return, instead of giving you benefit, gives so much of harm. This is one thing. Now, on the other side, we can just flip it towards your parents. You and your parents have done so much for you, and now they become old, and then you become self-sufficient, and then for small reasons you just shout at your parents. Just see how much pain they will feel, because they have done everything for you. In fact, their hairs grow old. The hairs grow white because of you. Spending all time, resources, everything after you, believe it or not. Minimum from day when you're born till age 14, 15, 16, and even till age 18, 19, 20. But let's say from your side, from age 16 becomes complicated. Till 15 is okay. In some cases 15 is also complicated, right? Till 14, 13, 14, your parents give you so much love, you also love your parents so much. And funny, we survive because of the parents. That age when we were so vulnerable, your parents may be very uneducated, may not be as professional, may not be as good looking or whatever. But from their side, they did everything. And for you, if not for parents, you cannot survive in this world. This reality. In my case, say my mother, totally illiterate. But today when I think of my mother, of course I cannot really imagine, I was just 5 years old. The memory, even the little memory that I had, even that is fading away now. But just on the imagination level, when I think of my mother, I don't see her as uneducated. I see her as very loving. That is what comes to my mind first. My dad, very uneducated. And and he really went through very difficult time in his life. But when I see him, when I think of him, I see his love and affection. So I don't see the bad sides, because this is how this is how I was brought up. This is how I became a human being. This is how I became self-sufficient, because of their kindness. So, particularly when you are vulnerable, how they give so much love and affection. When you become strong, it is your time to repay the kindness. Your duty is left to be done. That is so important. So what I'm saying here is that just keep in mind, put yourself in the shoes of your parents. In fact, the parents, the pain that they would feel to see that you are not actually reciprocating what they've done to you. When you are being unkind, when you show anger towards them, they feel so sad. And the Buddha gave a big warning. Buddha said in Tibetan, "Pāpa miyāṃ pāmatāṃ nebatāṃ chumālā kēdē chañcā sambālā yuñi shilū mebayi," which means that, if it is the enlightened beings like the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Arhats and so forth, of course, your rendering service, accumulated merit related to them will be very enormous. But even if somebody is not an enlightened person, but if that is your parents, the little virtue that you do multiplies so much more, and the negativity that you do also multiplies so much more. We should be very careful. This is what the Buddha said. So we should be very careful, because then if you say something nasty towards another person versus towards your parents, the parents will feel deeply, deeply sad. Because now they are vulnerable. They can't expect love and affection from anybody else, if not from the children. And the children, they are being so unkind, so rude. So this is when we accumulate so much of negative karma, number one. And number two, just imagine, this is, put yourself in their shoes, how much pain that they feel. So this is what we need to keep in mind. Okay. Verse number 7. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. So this stanza 7, there are two things. One is the actual cultivation, and number two is the reinforcement. Two. Actual cultivation wise, for this, we should be able to feel all other beings as your mother sentient beings, with the help of this sevenfold cause-effect method, to feel their love and affection when they were your mothers. And also through the method of equalizing the exchange of self for others, ultimately the love should be felt. When you feel this love, this is cultivation. We cultivate this love towards all the beings through these two methods. Once the cultivation happens, then to stabilize this, we have to reinforce it. So, number 7 is to reinforce this love and affection. It says, in brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers. Naturally, when you feel this love and affection, then you have to reinforce it to make it very strong and the unshakable. So for the matter, you make a commitment that in brief, may I offer benefit and joy. So in English, it is may I offer. This is a Tibetan word. So it says that the Pendemanam is the in brief may, this one part in English. Otherwise, in Tibetan it's like in brief I will offer. But in English it's very beautiful. In Tibetan, the may has a little bit of, not really 100%. May I be able to do that? Just wishing. May I be able to do that? But in English, it can mean both. In Tibetan, may, if you translate literally, chetubar sho. Sho has a connotation that I will do it. And may I be able to do it. There's a slight difference there. So the point is, in English is perfect. May I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers. It's just reinforced that I will offer benefit. I will offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. Okay, this is very important. The indirectly. Why is this added here? Oftentimes our self-centered attitude is extremely shrewd, extremely cunning, right? So when you're doing good, again self-centered comes in. You do good, you come to, you offer service, volunteer service, or you do some dharma practice, and again the self-centered attitude comes. What is the dharma practice? To suppress, to combat the self-centered attitude. And self-centered, somehow it comes so cunningly, right, so smart, comes in and he said, yes, you did a great job. Right? It talks to you. Yes, you did great. Wow, you set for the retreat. You went to the Kalachakra Center teaching. That's amazing. And you said, yes, I'm amazing. Right? It's amazing. Yes, I did it. And who can do it? Right? Who can sacrifice time to come to Kalachakra 2 hours from Paris? And right? So you are losing this much money. You are losing and you did it. Yes, I did it. Yes, I'm very happy that I'm able to do it. Look, self-centered attitude talks to you. And then you may even encourage somebody else. Hey, it's good. There's the Kalachakra teaching happening in Kalachakra Center there. You come. Shall I really come? I have something. No, you must come. And the other person comes because of your persuasion. And then in your mind, yes, not only I came, I also made him come. Right? Also made him come. And the person, when the person comes, person is not at all telling other people that he made me to come here, she made me come here. Oh, he's not mentioning anything about me. Right? I made him. Right? Yes, I feel so happy here. I came here. It took me 2 hours, but no mention of he made me to come. Right? So there you have some expectation, and this expectation is not there. You feel a little unhappy. So this indirectly. So where or let's say that you are just half-hearted, whether to come, not sure, and let's say the Patrick so well, and then Patrick was not aware of that person, and I know that. Then I tell Patrick, hey Patrick, and if I tell the person directly, the person will not listen to me, and if Patrick tells, the person will listen. So I tell Patrick, just persuade him to go to Kalachakra teaching, right? So then but if I tell Patrick and the Patrick tells him, the person will not feel grateful to me. Right? No, it's not about you, the person should be feeling grateful to you or not. This is not the point. The point is the person should be benefited. Then the person will feel grateful to Patrick and not to me. Because the Patrick will tell him and not me directly. But I'm the one actually who told Patrick. Right? So this is all where that you are trying to help the person A, but you don't get the credit because it's indirect. Right? So even indirectly, benefit happens, let it be there, without my name, without me getting the credit. This is so important. Where you expect the credit, you expect the something in return, that is again self-centered attitude. This is again self-centered attitude. So it says, to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. Right? There are many ways by which we can help others indirectly, without your, the direct presence. Indirectly you can make things happen, and while you remaining anonymous. There are many things which happen like this. This is so important. These are the Bodhisattvas, the practice. Okay. In brief, may I offer a benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. So where, because somebody else, you have to bear the pain, you have to bear the loss. You are happy to take it without the other person's knowledge. For example, there's a story, and I'm sure many of you have heard this, seen this. There was the mother had a child, mother and the son. And the son feels so embarrassed whenever the mother comes to the school, because the mother, she has lost one eye. And the son feels so embarrassed whenever the mother, and then he would just react to the mother, doesn't show affinity to the mother in the school when the mother comes to see him, and because he feels embarrassed in front of the other school children. And then finally that he graduated, got job, and then the married, children, and then left for some other countries, and the mother separate. And one day the mother was on the verge to die, and the mother sent a note. You must have heard this story. Mother sent a note to the son, and the letter says that, my dear son, I'm very sorry that I create so much a problem in your life. My coming to see you out of love. I came to see you in the school, and you feel so embarrassed. I made you feel embarrassed all these many years. I'm very sorry. But you have to know why you feel embarrassed is because I don't have one of my eyes. And why I don't have these eyes, I have to tell the story. When you're so young, you're born with the eye defect. And then I gave my eyes to you. That is why I don't have the eyes. Not because I was born one eye lost. This is what you have to know. And the son knew this story only at that point, not before that. He felt so regretful. He went to see the mother, and mother passed away already. Okay, look. So this mother, what made her, sacrifice her eyes? And you sacrifice, and she's not at all taking any credit. Let the son not know that. Otherwise the son may feel so regretful. So not letting the son know this. So this is, may I quietly take upon myself, without letting others know what I did, the pains that I'm. So for somebody, be a man or woman. So if your one eye is missing, naturally, you feel not happy. You feel uncomfortable, of course, throughout your life. And this she's bearing because of the son, for the son. So may I quietly take upon oneself all hurts and pains of my mothers, taking the pains and hurts of the others. The others, yes, of course, with where you get the credit, he's doing, she's doing that, he's doing that for me, then you get the credit. But where there are many cases where you have to do it without credits. And that can happen only if you love the other person so well, so much. So this is Bodhisattva practice. May all this remain under. Okay, may I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. Number 8. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may recognizing all things as illusions, devoid of clinging, be released from bondage. So now this is a summary. The summary, and it consists of the 2 parts. One, say again, what triggers all our afflictive emotions? What triggers? Number 1. Number 2 is that finally how to overcome all these afflictive emotions, anger, ego, and so forth. It says that what triggers all these things is, in a mundane sense, we say the 8 mundane concerns. 8 mundane concerns, these are the indications of our weakness. 8 mundane concerns are the indication of our weakness. So just see, this amazing, one thing I really admire, appreciate, feel the awe of the past masters, is that how they're able to summarize things so well, very comprehensively. 8 mundane concerns, that's amazing. Just think of this, we see that our afflictions are somehow related to one of these 8. So what are the 8 mundane concerns? 1, getting excited. Getting excited was always in pairs, 4 pairs. 4 pairs making it 8. 4 pairs making it 8. The first pair is getting excited over the material gains. Getting demoralized over the loss of material gains. So emotional stirs, ups and downs. The emotional excitement over the material gains, and emotional, say, the downfall with the material loss. In other words, when somebody gives you some presents, you're so excited. When you gain some the accolades, you get so excited. Where you lose something material, you lose some material things, then you feel so low, as though like, now I'm totally hopeless, I'm totally dejected. And this is the one set of the mundane concerns. So where you gain some material things, okay, good, very good. These are the results of the virtues of generosity. That's good. Let's see how I can use this for the benefit of others. You think of this, not too excited, and you lose something. It's fine. When I have to leave everything. So what's there if I lose this? And I can buy something, I can replace this, I can buy something else for this. So that you don't feel too down, mentally too down, when you lose the material things. 2. Then the next is the excitement over the pleasant words, and the feeling down with the unpleasant words. Which means, talk something which pleases you, which makes you happy, like very trivial things. But nowadays in social media, there are so many things, unnecessary things coming up, and you feel so excited, you waste so much of time there. So where, the talks which totally trivial, but makes you so excited. This is the excitement over the trivial talks or pleasant talks. And feeling very low when somebody talks about, so in the Ukraine, now the war never stops. Yeah. Right? Instead of becoming more courageous. Yeah, always Ukraine. So this is where you feel so low when you hear something which you don't like to hear. Okay, these 2. Again, this is an indication of our being very ordinary person. So where you hear something pleasant, okay, fine, yeah, that's also impermanent. When you see unpleasant things, it should rather make you more courageous for the welfare of other beings. Then you are an evolved person. Then the next is the excitement of the praise, and the feeling demoralized over deprecation. Somebody praises you, not just a pleasant talks, but somebody praises you. You feel so elated. Elated, and it's all like the whole world is so nice. And somebody deprecates you or defames you, you feel so low. As well as you feel lost. There's no hope. Whole thing is so dark. This is when we are weak. So somebody praises you, yeah. So but the great teacher, Sakya Panditan, he said that if somebody praises you, always think that there are people who defames you. Right? There are also people who defame you. Yeah, there are many people who don't like me. You do something good, it's because of this ulterior motive. Right? So, but when the people praises you, don't feel excited. Think of the people who defames you. When people defame you, don't feel low. Don't feel as though like you are totally finished, you are in the hell realm. Instead, think of the people who love you, who dearly love you. Everyone, they will say the sentient beings, but everyone has some good points and bad points. And you also have good points. You also have good points. For example, if you have done something wrong, let's say that wrong X amount, then you have the potential to do it double the X, but you didn't do double X. That's so good. Yeah. For example, if you have said something nasty thing to the other person, you also have the capacity to stab the person. You did not stab this person. That's amazing, very good. Yeah, think of that. Right? That's amazing. You have the capacity. If you don't have, if you're sick, hospitalized in the bed, like there's no energy to stab somebody, then you say something bad, you don't have energy to stab. But you're very healthy, you can stab the person. You do not do that. That's amazing. Yeah, you rejoice in this when somebody defames you. When someone praises you, think of the people who defames you. Right? This is how you maintain your equilibrium. And when you are trapped between the praise and the defamation. And finally, getting excited when you're happy, demoralized when you are unhappy. Okay, when you get good food, when the weather is nice, right? Good food, and Dharma teaching is happening, or you feel like a divine person. Wow, I'm so purified. Yes, now transformation taking place. And when you are in a place where, I say, you have to work, extra work, or let's say like 10 hours a day, and you hardly get time to eat food, and people around, they're also very serious, and you feel so tired, and your boss says that, no, you have to do this, and you have to take another 1 hour extra. This world is so gloomy, so hopeless. Okay. So this is how, when we easily fluctuate between the happiness and unhappiness in terms of emotions, these are weakness. So when you go through good times, think of bodhicitta, think of compassion. How I wish that all the people who are suffering have this good time. When you go through bad times, think of, okay, this is the result of my own negative karma. If I don't want this bad experience in the future, I should not engage in negative karma. I should not create more problems on others. And also, may all beings never experience this pain. Just pray like this. Yeah. Okay. May all these remain undefiled by the stains with 8 mundane concerns. In other words, all my practice, bodhicitta practice, may this not be defiled by the 8 mundane concerns. The tendency, as I said earlier, even when you do Dharma practice, it can be tainted by the mundane concerns. So, may I do this practice so pure. But let us not expect so pure right from the beginning. Try your best to keep it clean, to keep it real good Dharma practice. Try your best, but even if it is tainted, you see that somewhere the expectation is coming. Somewhere, some places, expected. When these things do happen, and just scold yourself. Look, I'm supposed to be the Dhamma practitioner. I came here for the Dhamma practice, and look again, afflictions are the afflictions are just overwhelming me. Afflictions are ruling over me. So I should not give in to this affliction. So this is how we make a cleaner. After all, the progress should be there. Progress should be there. Don't expect perfection, but the progress should be there. Okay. Then the next part. And may I, recognizing all things as illusions, devoted clinging be released from bondage. And thus far, point 8, the verse 8, the first 2 lines. Up to that point, it's related to how to mitigate the power of the afflictions. To this point, how to mitigate the power of the afflictions, how to mitigate the power of the self-centered attitude. Now, these 2 lines, the final 2 lines, are to actually uproot the afflictions. Uproot the afflictions. So there, how do we uproot the afflictions in the dream? Say in the dream, if attachment to, let's say, the nice conversations or the good state, the sunshine, and so forth, and on the other hand, so much sadness, fear, and so forth in the dream. So, how would you get away from all these the mundane concerns in the dream? How to get away from this? But the root.
Wake up.
Wake up. Just wake up. Wake up, then the root is cut. The root is cut. It's not just in the dream. Let's say that in the dream, say you get good pastor for the teaching. After teaching, when is the picnic? When is the picnic?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right? Imagine you are having a dream. In the dream, the Cultural Center, Venerable Elizabeth is organizing a picnic, morning picnic, right? Oh, the food is so good, weather is so nice, next to the lake, Guru Baba, and everyone is so nice, everybody is smiling. Wow, beautiful, right? Okay, and suddenly there's a shower, rain shower, right? So cold, rain shower, and acute heat. Venerable Elizabeth is not prepared to cover the entire campus with the canvas up there, no possibility. Acute heat, you all have to run into your room, still you feel the heat. So that's all happening in dream. Okay, so then let's say Venerable Elizabeth comes. I'm very sorry, I mean to have this picnic, but the weather, what to do, I couldn't do anything. And you will say, don't worry, I'm fine, right? You try to mitigate the power of your unhappiness, right? How to get rid of this unhappiness completely? Huh? Wake up, you're getting it? Wake up, get rid of the unhappiness completely. So in the dream, you can mitigate the power of the unhappiness. But it's just mitigating the power. It's not uprooting the unhappiness. How to uproot this unhappiness? Wake up. So the last 2 lines tell us how to uproot all these miseries. It says, and may I recognizing all things as illusion, that everything is like a dream. Everything is like illusion. And when you realize everything is in when you realize the dream is dream, when do you realize the dream is dream? In the dream or outside the dream? When do you realize the dream is dream? Generally speaking, inside the dream or outside the dream? Outside the dream. What do you mean by outside the dream? Wake up. Okay. So, may I recognize all things as illusions to realize the illusion. Dream is dream. That happens through waking up. So, may I wake up to see everything as like illusion. What is illusion? Illusion is something all coming purely from your mind, not from the object. There's nothing intrinsically real. It's all coming from the subjective mind. So just as illusion is purely projected by your mind, all the phenomena that exist in this universe, they all come from the projection of your own mind. May I discover that everything is like illusion, projection of your own mind. So when do you realize that the dream is coming from your mind? Only when you wake up. Recognize all things as illusions. So that way, then your attachment, clinging to the objects or running away from the object stops when you wake up. Devoted clinging, there are no clinging to anything. Devoted clinging, be released from bondage. It is severed the bondage to the misery of samsara. This is the total freedom for myself and for all the demon sentient beings. Okay. So with this we see that the stanza 1 through to stanza, the first 2 lines of stanza 8 is about how to mitigate the power of the negative emotions. And then the last 2 verses of stanza 8 tells us how to uproot afflictions altogether, and also uproot the self-centered attitude altogether. So with this, I added this verse from Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim prayer, the first verse, because many people reading the 8-verse mind training, of course, if one is taught by properly, in a systematic way as to what really it means, you'll be inspired. But many people, they just read it and they feel so demoralized to see that it's very self-denial, right? So it's just taking the defeat, giving it to others, you have to surrender. They get, because of their naivety, they got the wrong idea, wrong impression of these 8 verses. So in order to let them feel, no, this is not a connotation. It is to separate between ego and self-confidence. So this verse is added from Lama Tsongkhapa's the Lamrim prayer, the first verse, to boost our self-confidence. Thus far, the ego is subsided. Here, we have to boost the self-confidence. It says, from our 2 collections, collection of the merit and collection of wisdom, study of the wisdom, reflection of wisdom, meditation of wisdom, versus the method side, bodhicitta, then the compassion, so forth. From our 2 collections, vast space that I've amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha. Look, this is self-confidence. Tremendous self-confidence. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds, wisdom eyes blinded with ignorance. And if you look at the world, you look around, we see that yes, what the Lama Tsongkhapa said is very true. Many people, they even have not even heard what is bodhicitta, not even heard the word emptiness of intrinsicality. Never heard these things. If you don't hear these things, how can you expect these people to realize emptiness? If you don't realize emptiness, you are seeing the opposite, just the opposite way. You are seeing the objects the opposite way, as so intrinsically real. That is the blindness. That is the ignorance. May I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds were blinded by ignorance. Okay, good. We've finished. And as Ajahn Dawakesana made the request, I'll say this in Tibetan, the 8 verses. Okay, so it's just like number 1 is like oral transmission, and then because it's already 10:31 now. Yeah, so I'll quickly read this. It's like a few minutes. I think about like 1 minute, not in a few minutes. Yes. Sure. Evelyn? Magali? Evelyn? And Patricia and Buffalo, right? Pavlo. Not Paolo. Yeah, Pavlo, yeah. Okay, while we wait for them, any questions? 1 or 2 questions? Yes.
Je voudrais comprendre ou approfondir la différence entre donc, cet égocentrisme qui peut survenir quand on fait quelque chose de bien, et le fait de se réjouir de quelque chose de bien qu'on a fait.
So we'd like to make a more clear distinction between this subtle
self-centered attitude and the cross.
Sometimes when we practice Dharma, and the fact to rejoice genuinely what we have done good, something like this.
Okay. Oh, this is an interesting question. Thank you. Say how would you demarcate between the subtle self-centered attitude and On the other hand, we encourage the people to rejoice in your virtues. While rejoicing in virtues, is it the subtle self-centered attitude? Subtle self-centered attitude is to be discarded, while rejoicing is to be encouraged. Okay, this is a good point. Is there anybody who can give answer? Who likes to help me? The question is that we discourage any degree of self-centered attitude, be it subtle or the gross. On the other hand, we encourage people to rejoice in your virtues. So, rejoicing in virtues is like self-centered attitude in a subtle form. So how do you demarcate between subtle self-centered attitude, which is to be discouraged, and the rejoicing in virtues, which is to be encouraged? How do you demarcate between this? Okay, Mary? Yes. Mary Christine.
Je pense qu'on peut dédier tout de suite les mérites qu'on est en train d'accumuler par nos vertus au bien de tous les êtres. C'est-à-dire on les reverse.
So, quand on s'en réjouit,
Oui, quand on s'en réjouit, on peut offrir tout de suite des vertus.
we can offer on the spot all the virtues that we accumulated to all sentient beings.
But the question is, when you rejoice in your virtues, when you give is one, there's a different mental state. When you rejoice in your virtues, is it not subtle self-centered attitude? This question. Patrick.
Tu te réjouis, tu dédies le bienfait de la réjouissance. C'est ce qu'il disait immédiatement.
Quand tu te réjouis des bienfaits
Oui.
de la réjouissance.
Non, tu dédies les bienfaits
Oui,
de la
c'est ça,
réjouissance.
je me réjouis pour
Tu te
pas que
réjouis.
ça soit de l'égocentrisme. Pour la différence, c'est que je les garde pas comme un trésor pour moi, et je les envoie.
Elle se réjouit et ça, elle le dédie.
Et je pense qu'à ce moment-là, ce n'est pas de
Ah, okay.
l'égocentrisme.
So, I got wrong, sorry. So, when you rejoice, then you dedicate this rejoicing to all the sentient beings.
For yourself. Je sais.
Okay, so you rejoice.
And you offer this to others.
So the question is, there are two sides. What Mary Christine is saying, one is rejoicing in your virtues, and number two is dedicating this to others. There are two. So dedicating to others is fine, but rejoicing, is that not subtle self-centered attitude? This is her question. Okay, Patrick.
If it's improve self-confidence, it's rejoicing. If it improve ego, it's self-centeredness.
Okay, how do we know that? Okay, first translate it into Spanish. No, in French.
Magali has been for shopping.
Magalin, don't worry. I will read the same thing in Tibetan later on also for Magalin. Okay. Yes.
Maybe it's related to the fact that when you rejoice, you rejoice through the knowledge of emptiness, that you are not an inherent and independent existing I, but it's just like a good action. You rejoice about having done something that is virtuous, not relate to the I. That's.
Okay, so how do we know that's not related to I? Okay.
We can feel it in the heart.
Huh?
We feel it in the heart, like when it's totally towards the action and not related to you. You feel it inside. It's totally wide and open and free. And when it's related to you, it's more like, there's, I don't know how to say it. It's like a.
So when you say, may I become Buddha, you're getting, it's related to you. May I. What's the problem with the you?
Because if you become a Buddha, it's for all the other people.
Exactly, this is what I'm saying. To relate, so to make it related to you, there's nothing wrong in it.
Perhaps we can not
relate the merits only on me as separate from my environment, because in my understanding of ego it's like me as separate. We can rejoice.
So the trauma, are you not separate from others?
I can't exist separately.
Huh?
I can't exist separately.
Are you here or there?
I am here.
Here. And where are others? They are not on your seat.
Yes.
They are separate. Do you exist separately from others?
But yes, okay. But ego incurs that feelings of existing separately.
As existing independently.
Independently and separately.
Yes. So?
So I feel, so ego is feeling existing independently.
Yes.
So when I, thank you. So when I rejoice of the merits, I have to feel the merits is not independent from the person who give me the situation, who give me the opportunity to get this merits.
Beautiful. Yes. Okay, I agree with you. Tomar, thank you so much. So what he's saying is that this feeling, when you rejoice, even when you rejoice, there can be two kinds. Rejoice mixing with the self-centered attitude. Yeah, I did something great. Right? So there, as Thomas said, ego can be boosted. When that happens, it's purely subtle self-centered attitude, where you rejoice in this, seeing that I have a tremendous potential, I can help so many people. So there, with rejoicing this, you feel more inspired to benefit others. If that is the aftermath, if that is the post-effect of your rejoicing, that is a genuine rejoicing, not tainted by self-centered attitude. So this feeling should make you feel more energized to work for others. And then when you see others, you feel closer. That is the rejoicing to be encouraged. Whereas when you do something and then when you see other people, you feel that in a subtle form, you feel that, okay, they did not do that, I could do this. So when that happens, that is subtle self-centered attitude to be discouraged. Okay, good. Now I'll read this, the 8-verse mind training in Tibetan, because as the request of Ajahn Sanla, then the Gumbala and Kusanla, and for others also, because this was originally written in Tibetan. So it'd be good, very auspicious, that we are hearing what this great teacher, Geshe Damdul, actually said it. Okay, let us reinforce the visualization of all the Buddhist bodhisattvas in space in front of you, particularly the most venerable Geshe Damdul in the space in front of you. So happy to see that his teaching of compassion is being discussed here in this Kalachakra, extremely beautiful center, Kalachakra Center. And your two parents, your children, all your dear mother sentient beings are with you. Dāni simjē tamjē lā īshī nūpo lē lā bē tuñchō chūbē sāmbā yin tātū jebar zimbar shū kāntū sūdān chūbē sē tāñī kuñ lē mēndā shīn shīnā sāmbā tāpā yin rāni chōtū zimbar shū chūlam kundu rāngyū lā tōshīn nyūmā kēmā tā tāshīn marū chēbē nā zindab tēnū tāpar shū rāngshīn nye bē simjē tā tē tū chāpū nē tōng sē rinjēn tē tā tē bā tā nye par kā bē jīnzi shū tā lā shīn kī tā tō kē shē gu lā sō mē rī bē kyōngā rāngā lē mā tā yē gā shīn lā bī mō shū kānā tā kē pēntā bē rā wā chē wā kā shī 신도 메리 누셔나 신년 담반 다워쇼 도나 웃음 교반이 밴데 만남 군나불 마이누다 동에고 상황에 달라 넘버쇼 대다고냐 초기가 도배되면 마바신 추는 김을 시벨로 시메 신원에 주쇼 테네린도 벨라 소니네 카다렘 바관시 사바도 로메 마리 그도 주바고 남쟁게 뭐 다요로지 chanjusumjorum boje maje banam gegyurje gewanya ba meban kone kondo pevarasho toni dawarim boje maje banam gegyur gewanya ba meban kone kondo pevarasho deata
Om Gade Gade Paragade Parasamgate Bodhisvata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvata